Auditing the audits, audit the audits, audit the audits, audit. Auditing the audits, audit. What's going on, guys? How are you? Good to see you. This is a video from Audit the Audit. Type that into the search bar. Subscribe to his channel. He does amazing work. This video is titled $110,000 settlement for illegal detention and tasing. What's great about Audit the Audit? He's about 95% objective from what I've seen so far. I do have an issue with one of his videos that he was actually calling an American citizen a sovereign citizen. He was using the Southern Poverty Law Center's definition for a sovereign citizen. The guy who was pulled over was trying to use the Eddie Craig defense. If you haven't heard of the Eddie Craig defense, you should watch Eddie Craig explain it. And then there's also another. Basically, he's taking transportation code, leaving out the origins of it, because like you're going to see in this video, he states the case laws and stuff and does a very, very good job. But he is using the term sovereign citizen the way the Southern Poverty Law Center intended him to use it, instead of using the Webster's Dictionary definition of a sovereign, which would be somebody basically who's above the law or a sovereign from the rest of the people. And if you want to be technical, people who investigate themselves and get to decide their own fate, those people are technically the sovereign citizens out of all of us. Because we don't get to investigate ourselves. We have to go to court and stuff. We get arrested, kidnapped for victimless crimes. So that would be my only argument against Audit the Audit, man. Other than that, he does amazing work. He's far better skill. He has a far better skill set than me when it comes to research and citing case law. He has the time and skill set that I definitely don't have. I'm talking off the top of my head most of the time. I've had to correct myself about 3 to 5 times now, but when I do my research and I recite what I've learned, it's mostly 98 to 100% correct.
Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers probable cause, taser protocols, and lawful orders, and comes to us from Kelly's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On the night of February 19th, 2018, Aurora resident Darshawn Kelly was having a conversation with his cousin on the outskirts of a nearby apartment complex.
By the way, I always say calling the police can get you killed. So just remember that, people. A lot of people have called the police and when they arrived, actually got killed themselves. That's not a red herring. It happens. When you call the police, you're basically playing the knowledge lottery. You're hoping the person that's going to show up is going to be knowledgeable in the law, and chances are they're not going to be.
Where he was contacted by several officers of the Aurora Police Department.
Okay. Stop. Sir, with the white shirt, sit down, please.
Sit down. Sit down.
I also cannot sit. You can sit.
I have a pulled groin. I cannot sit. Right away, the cop says, you can sit.
Sit down, please.
Do me a favor, turn around. Both of you face that direction right now. For what? Turn around. For what? Face that direction. For what?
So this guy has his hands up in the air. He is no threat to these cops. The guy actually to the right has his arms down and is facing the other direction. And they've created a blind spot. This guy has his hands in the air and is no threat.
Turn around. For what? No, I know my rights. For what?
In the 1981 case of Michigan v. Summers, the Supreme Court held that probable cause inherently carries with it the limited authority to detain the occupants of a premises while a proper search is conducted. This ruling essentially authorized police to detain nearby citizens wherever a crime had occurred until their innocence or involvement was proven or disproven. In 2013, the Supreme Court amended the Summers ruling in the case of Bailey v. United States by declaring declaring a detention is limited to the immediate vicinity of the premises to be searched and does not apply when a recent occupant of the premises was detained at a point beyond reasonable understanding of the immediate vicinity of the premises in question. This ruling established a limit on what officers could classify as the immediate vicinity. The officers engaging Mr. Kelly are responding to a call about a gun being pulled on a minor somewhere in the nearby apartment complex. The officers had absolutely no description of the suspect and only stopped Mr. Kelly because he was in an area near the complex.
I was friends with a cop, and he would always say that the dispatchers were some of the stupidest people ever. Okay, if you're a dispatcher at a police department, you're creating a picture for the patrolman as to what's going on. Should you not have like a master's degree in communication to be a police dispatcher and to be able to convey a message and paint a clear and precise picture so that nobody gets hurt or killed? Or has it just come to, we're going to send guys with guns out, and whatever they feel and however they're feeling at that moment is how they're going to react? Forget the Constitution and everything else.
Announced to the officers, the man standing next to Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kelly's cousin, Izir, was involved in the original incident which prompted the 911 call. But the information that the officers were basing their investigation on was a far stretch from what actually happened. Here is a clip from the aftermath of this incident which demonstrates the degree to which these officers were misinformed and disorganized.
So basically, the story they gave us was... Who is that?
I don't know his name, but that's his mom's the one.
That's the son. Okay. Yeah. So that's Izir. Basically, what happened was mom gets a cramp in her leg, shit on the couch. Husband Darrell.
The one that's in the ambulance? Yes. So that is husband.
Yeah, that's husband Darrell.
Okay.
So they still don't have their facts straight, according to whoever put that on the screen.
He kind of grabs her. He's like, get your ass up, get outside, get some air. You know, if you're cramping up, go get some air. And he took exception to that.
Okay.
He's like, talk to my mom that way.
Okay.
Shoves them. They start getting into like a wrestling match. Kind of push the TV back, no damage to the TV.
Okay.
They come out here and start doing whatever they're doing. Mom didn't see what happened after they left the apartment.
Okay. Was there any allegations of a gun being pulled on anybody?
No. She goes, there's no guns. I don't know what they're talking about.
There's no guns. I don't know what the F they're talking about. So how did the word gun, as soon as the cop hears gun, they got 11 fingers on their gun. So maybe not use the word gun unless you're 1,000% sure someone said gun. I mean, is it not recorded?
It is unclear how a domestic dispute was misconstrued as a child being held at gunpoint, but the officers didn't bother to make contact with the original 911 caller until this entire incident had transpired and Mr. Kelly had been detained with no evidence.
5G is ready. I'm asking you to do that. For what? Please turn my hands are in the air.
Just listen.
Officer,
I understand.
Just listen. Comply or die. By the way, I have comply or die t-shirts in the hard-hitting, not so hard-hitting t-shirt store.
Stand that.
So I'm asking.
Put your hands in the air, man. Put your hands in the air. There you go.
What?
There you go.
Turn around. What? You don't have a
Do
weapon.
not double tase him.
Put your hands on your head.
Do not double tase him. If you're going to tase him, only one of you do it. Do not double tase him. I wonder who said that and why.
Interlace your fingers. Are we being detained? Now!
Yes.
You're being detained.
In the 1973 New York case of People v. Jennings, the court flatly rejected the notion that lawful means any order that does not require the operator to break the law. The court noted that accepting such a definition would subject the passing motorist to the slightest whim of the empowered officer. However, the court went on to adopt the equally ambiguous ideology that an order is lawful when it is, quote, reasonably designed to achieve its goal. The court did not elaborate as to what constitutes a legitimate goal and ultimately failed to establish a concrete precedent regarding lawful orders. The vagueness of this ruling left the limitations of a lawful order undefined and blurs the line between officer safety and personal liberty. If we break down the etymology of the phrase lawful order, a logical definition
Now, logical definition. I know audit the audit, bro. This is like, but the way you, this is amazing work right here, man.
Rises. The definition of lawful is conforming to, permitted by, or recognized by laws or rules. And the definition of order is an authoritative command, direction, or instruction. If we combine these two words into a phrase, the meaning becomes clear. A lawful order is an authoritative command, direction, or instruction which is conforming to, permitted by, or recognized by laws or rules.
So, what are we talking? $4 or $5 million worth of judges couldn't figure this out? Because they're acting in a political nature. They want to give cops the power. I don't know why. Well, they want it because they want to control the people. So, lawful order is basically whatever their tiny brains can come up with. You're suspicious. We got a call. Guns. Our dispatcher's a moron.
Although the court never recognized the plain meaning of the phrase, common sense and basic logic suggests that a lawful
Common sense and basic logic, the only thing missing from government.
order must be supported by a law in some capacity. Considering that these officers had no reasonable suspicion or probable cause to believe that Mr. Kelly was involved in criminal activity, their orders were not based on any law or ordinance and therefore were not lawful. At this point, they were just orders that were being issued from one party to another. The power of the
They were just orders being barked by a gang of gunmen. That's all they were. This guy wants to know why you're ordering him to do that while his hands are in the air. Why can't you just answer him? You don't have to be completely in dominance of everybody before you can cop-splain to them what's going on.
Those orders were solely derived from the officer's ability to force compliance and Mr. Kelly's powerlessness to defy them.
For what?
Interlace your fingers on the back of your
Two,
head.
five,
For what?
two, and they're
What are we
We will
being
get to that in a
detained
minute.
for? Answer my question, officer.
No, we're not
I know my
here.
rights.
Page 8 of the Aurora
Answer my question, officer. No! I'm a puss! I'm a coward! All I know is violence. I was on Idiocracy. Not Idiocracy. Damn, I always forget the name of that movie.
Police Department Directives Manual's chapter on the use of deadly and potentially deadly force clearly states that a taser should not be deployed or displayed with the sole intent of coercing or intimidating an individual or in a
Oh man, you can't find any videos of that happening on YouTube.
location where a fall may cause substantial injury or death. Mr. Kelly was tased while standing on a curb with his back to
He was shot in the back for asking why he was being unlawfully detained. Holy spaghetti monster.
the ledge of the curb. After being tased, his body immediately seized and he fell straight back, smashing his head on the concrete. The directives manual goes
And I bet you the cops loved it.
on to note that certified members should not deploy a taser when the subject is only passively resisting. Mr. Kelly never made any threatening gestures or displayed any physical show of force, and kept his hands in the air in an effort to actively
He was verbally abusing us! Right, Texas police? He was verbally abusing them by asking questions. Why are they pointing guns at him, basically? Taser guns?
demonstrate that he was not a threat in any way. Mr. Kelly's actions are a quintessential example of passive resistance, and these officers
Quintessential example of passive resistance. Quintessential. Truly American. Based in American core principles. Constitutional resistance. Lawful. Lawful resistance. Speech. Quintessential. All American. I am a quintessential American.
failed to follow their own department's protocol on many fronts.
It's called failing to obey a lawful order.
What were we being detained for?
You're going to jail for failing to obey a lawful
For
order.
what?
Now, mind you, failing to obey a lawful order. I don't even think that's a charge. So he's going to switch it later on.
Failing to obey a lawful order.
What?
To sit down, put your hands up, turn
I told
around.
you I have a pulled groin.
I don't care. Look,
I don't care if you die. You do what we say. You hear me, slave?
lawful order, you do what you're told.
If I can't sit, then what?
Then you
It wasn't a lawful order.
could lay down.
Well, I want to talk to your supervisor.
That was a supervisor.
I want to talk to his boss.
Well, the chief isn't here.
His boss is just as bad, buddy. The biggest, most rotten apple is at the top. Don't you worry.
Anything, and there are witnesses. Yes.
Hey, look right here. It's all on video, sweetheart.
It's all on video, sweetheart. That's what I call your mother, pig. Sweetheart, sweet cheeks, sweet teas.
Yeah, he's in there.
And you tased me because I asked you
I love the way my unborn children drip off her lips. You stupid pig. You're on camera, pig.
what we were being detained for.
Here's the deal. We don't have to explain it to you.
Right. And we're officers of the law. We know our rights.
We don't have to explain it to you until we get things under control. That's what it comes down to.
I want to talk to your superior.
You don't have to explain on the scene, but you're gonna explain. And your stupidity is gonna cost someone $110,000. It should have cost you $1 billion. It should have bankrupted you. You're a disgusting domestic terrorist.
You are. That is my superior right
I
there.
want to talk to his superior.
Well, you'll have to wait. They don't come out to the scene. Okay? If you have a complaint, you can take it up later.
You
You
tased
can't talk to the ultimate sovereign right now. He's way too busy. He's probably having dinner or something.
me because I asked you what I was being detained
He's watching Alex Trebek die on Jeopardy.
for.
We don't have time to explain things until we get it under control. Once we know things are safe for us to explain things, then we would have explained it to you. But when you don't listen and you're being
What was unsafe about him having his hands in the air and asking questions? For cops, they're not safe until you're completely bound by handcuffs or 10 guys kneeing you in your back. And even then, they cannot calm down and get their panties out of their crack unless you are bound with your hands behind your back. That's how sadistic they are. The guy had his hands in the air. That's not good enough for them.
cooperative,
I asked you what we were being detained
I'm
for.
very clear on what you were asking. But you got to understand, when we're dealing with somebody that possibly may be armed, we don't have time to explain it.
Mr. Kelly was arrested, charged with disorderly conduct, and
Oh, disorderly conduct? I thought it was failure to obey a lawful order. Where did the disorderly conduct come from all of a sudden? Are you kidding me?
taken to jail, where he spent 3 days before being allowed to post bail. Lawyers from the American
So kidnapped and lost 3 days of his life.
Civil Liberties Union of Colorado successfully defended Mr. Kelly in his subsequent criminal case, winning dismissal after filing a motion arguing that the unlawful street detention violated the Fourth Amendment. The Internal Affairs Division of the Aurora Police Department and a purportedly independent internal review board, which
Purportedly independent internal review board. Independent internal. How could it be internal and independent?
focuses on cases of significant community interest, reviewed the incident and determined that the use of force against Kelly was, quote, reasonable, appropriate, and within policy. The
Shooting someone in the back with their hands in the air is appropriate by the independent internal review board.
Review board concluded that nothing in the incident, quote, warrants further investigation. Mr. Kelly went on to file a law.
Nothing to see here, just a bunch of sovereign citizens investigating themselves. Audit the audit. These are the sovereigns, not a guy going to work in his car. Let's be real, guy.
Lawsuit against the city of Aurora and the Aurora Police Department, which eventually resulted in a $110,000 settlement and the city's refusal to admit wrongdoing. Aurora City Attorney Mike Hyman said that the city settled so that it wouldn't have to spend even more taxpayer money on a court case, and characterized Mr. Kelly's case as an attack on the Aurora Police Department. Overall, the Aurora Police Department gets an F for recklessly deploying a taser, failing to execute any measure of de-escalation techniques, and refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing in the face of blatant policy violations.
So after all that, they still didn't find themselves guilty of anything.
This interaction and the Aurora PD's subsequent conduct are a testament to the department's inability to police itself. If an organization can write its own rules and then choose to break them without repercussions, then it is difficult.
Then they must be sovereign citizens.
To classify that organization as a public entity. Aurora's independent
Correct. They're not a public entity. They're sovereign from the public.
Review Board, which consists of both civilians and officers, failed the citizens of Aurora by allowing the department.
Why would officers be on an independent review board? Hello? Yeah, it's probably 6 officers and 4 civilians.
To openly violate its own policy. It is likely that the Independent Review Board is easily corruptible and serves as nothing more than a mouthpiece for the police department. It is difficult to insulate an Independent Review Board from the influence of police departments, and until a truly autonomous review board can be assembled, Aurora and cities like it will continue to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars per year protecting highly expendable personnel.
They'll just pull over more people to make up the money. That's all. No big deal.
That offer nothing to their community. Mr. Kelly gets an A for refusing to bow to the unlawful orders of the Aurora PD and following up this encounter with legal action. The reason Mr. Kelly was tased and arrested was because he demanded to know why he was being ordered to submit to the officers. Blind compliance is a forfeit of liberty and goes against the very fabric of the American belief system. America's Constitution.
So is paying to travel the roads you pay for.
And political system were designed to prevent incidents like this from occurring, and Mr. Kelly's encounter is a slippery slope that leads further and further away from the fundamental values that this country was built upon. What was once considered a great land of liberty and freedom is slowly becoming a victim to the regulating powers originally designated as protectors of said freedom. Mr. Kelly's legal action offers a small push in the other direction and reaffirms the individual liberties that Americans pride themselves on. With enough small shoves of financial recompense and policy revision, American citizens...
Financial recompense. Man, this guy's verbal master.
Can shift the balance of power back in favor of the public and not the regulating authorities. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to cover in the comments below.
Sir, I would love for you to cover the origin of the driver's license, who was originally a driver, what the original definition of an operator was, versus a driver, versus an owner, versus a vehicle, versus an automobile, versus a conveyance. I want you to explain why a driver used to be someone classified as transporting people or cargo for profit, and when did that turn into everybody? If we already pay for the roads, and there are roads, then why would we need pay permission to travel upon our roads if we're not engaged in commerce and turning a profit from the people's highways? That's what I would like for you to cover. That's the only issue I've ever had with you, man. Other than that, you seem like a very objective, very intelligent man. I would love to have a live debate / conversation / video with you. If you're interested, and we could talk about sovereign citizens and traveling, and I would love to know how you became so educated and are able to portray this stuff as well as you do and research it as well as you do, and where do you find the time, and is this stuff easy for you? I have questions, man. I want to audit the audit. All right, brother. Thanks for making this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Again, subscribe to Audit the Audit. He has 51.6 thousand subs. He should have more subs. He does really good work, even though I have one disagreement with him so far. All right, everyone. Peace and tranquility. Please hit up my Etsy store and support a brother, because YouTube don't want to, really. They be hating. They see me rolling. They hating. Patrolling and try to catch me riding dirty. My music's so loud.